Okay guys, welcome to the Selenium automation third session. Actually, during last session, two sessions, we have covered the how to do use the Selenium IDE for the test recording and playback. Now we are moving to actual thing. So we can write test script in C# or Java, whatever the language, using the Selenium WebDriver and execute it without the help of IDE. So we can just send commands to browser to do stuff. Okay. So I'm directly moving to the part 2. Okay. Before starting that, I need to make some two corrections regarding a few questions asked on first day and second day. First one is regarding the source tab in Selenium IDE, that HTML source directly showing the Selenium's HTML. Actually, what is happening is, so I told that so for the Selenium commands. So Selenium command. When we are sending commands to server control, the Selenium server, it's actually take HTML input. So we can send HTML get or post request to the Selenium server. So because of that, we need to send it in HTML. That's why they are saving it in HTML. So these things are Selenium's command. And because of they need to send it as a get or post request, they are saving it as HTML. Second thing is Selenium RC proxy. So I mentioned that it can be used as a proxy. Actually, it's for internal use only. So we cannot use it as an external. We cannot use it for the external usage. So it's for just the tracking request and all the actions using Selenium server. Okay, moving forward, so I mentioned before that in Selenium RC we have a few limitations because of mainly it was implemented using JavaScript. So there are a lot of limitation in JavaScript and browser. Because of that, they decide to implement a new tool called Selenium WebDriver. Selenium WebDriver control the browser from outside of the browser. So the previous one, it is controlling the browser from the inside. So we are injecting JavaScript. Using the JavaScript, we are controlling the browser. But when it comes to Selenium WebDriver, what it's doing is from the outside, it's controlling the browser. Actually, it's using a browser. All the browsers has some API implemented. So using those browsers APIs, it's controlling the browser. So simply it's controlling the browser from the OS level, and it uses a browser accessibility API to drive the browser. This approach means we can control browser in the best possible way. Firefox uses JavaScript to access API. So when it comes to Firefox, it's internal implementation in JavaScript. But when it's come to the Internet Explorer, it uses C++. So depending on the browser, it's using that browser's accessibility API and controlling the browser rather than just injecting JavaScript into the browser. But there's a small issue with that implementation. For all the browsers, we need separate software. So if it is when it's come to the IE, there will be a separate IE implementation, Selenium WebDriver IE implementation. When it comes to Firefox, there will be a Selenium WebDriver Firefox implementation. Likewise, so there will be different implementation. And when a new browser entered the market, so the Selenium guys have to implement a new API for that one, new WebDriver for that new browser. So. First thing, we'll move forward with the environment setup. So I'm mainly focusing the C#.NET. we need a Visual Studio, and we need to install browser specific drivers. So if it is IE, we need to install IE drivers. If it is Chrome, we need to install Chrome drivers. But when it's come to Firefox, we don't need to worry about that, because it's inbuilt with Firefox. And there are few issues when it's come to IE11 up to IE10. We just need to install the driver and start the testing. But when it's come to IE11, there are few changes we need to do. So simply we need to change some add a new registry key into using the regedit, and also just after doing this changing the registry key, we need to restart the machine. So let me log into my local machine, and let me open the regedit. So, and okay, let me minimize this. So I have provided all the IE related configuration here. Simply it will open Google document, Google wiki page. Here they have mentioned all the IE related configuration that we need to do. So here it mentioned that for the IE11 only, that you need to set up this registry key. Okay, I have opened that specific key, and so we just need to add a IE Explorer exe and with value 0, and just add that, and it will work fine. And yes, and when it's come to other browsers, we need to install let me open up the environment. So in environment variable, we need to provide yes. So here I have provided the IE driver. So let me open this up. So when you download IE driver, they will provide a zip file. So just extract it, and it will give you a exe file, and you need to take this path and enter it to as an environment variable in path variable. Then they can automatically execute those. They can get that value using the environment variable. Yes. So if you install Chrome driver, you need to provide that path also. But as I mentioned before, when it comes to Firefox, you don't need to worry. So it is inbuilt. You don't need to install in drivers for that. So any questions up to this level, because this is the main one of the main stage that setting up the environment. I think everybody know how to install Visual Studio, and if you guys need any help when it comes to changing registry keys, so you can ask help from any developer. I think they will help you. And yes, any questions up to this level? In Selenium side, there's no that kind of setup. We just need to, because they support the multiple platforms, so they are not specifically supporting Windows. That might be the reason. So we need to do all the configuration. Yeah. Good. Okay, moving forward. Next important section is data libraries and solution structure when it comes to the WebDriver. So let me start the demonstration. So how to set up your environment, and how to create a solution, and how to start Selenium automation using a WebDriver. So let me quickly open Visual Studio. I'm going to create new project. So when it's come to creating project, you have to select Visual C# test and unit test project. So if you have NUnit, then you can use NUnit. So when it's come to the Selenium IDE, it's automatically generating code for the NUnit. NUnit has some different features compared to unit test, but for the moment I am going to use unit testing. So after creating the project, it will be automatically generate one file. Either you can use it or you can rename it and use whatever the approach. Then you need to add Selenium references, Selenium DLLs for the project. Simply you can use NuGet packages. So this is the main class, Selenium WebDriver class. So we need to install this one, and after installing that one, we need to install Selenium WebDriver support class. This library has a lot of supporting methods. I'll come back to later. So when it's come to the Selenium page object model is kind of best practice they are using. So they have support classes for the page object model, and there are a lot of support classes provided in WebDriver support class library. So after adding those references, you can see that WebDriver and WebDriver support libraries will be added to solution. Okay, so now this solution is ready for solution and project ready for do some WebDriver automation. So first let me record some steps using Selenium IDE and copy it and paste it, and let's see whether it's working or not. Okay, I'm starting the recording. I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to change the grid and click this one, and I'm going to stop recording. Okay, simply you can copy and paste it. It will provide all the commands when it's so depend on your selection. So if you have selected these things, so it will convert it to the C#. So from options and clipboard format, you can select what is the format you need to copy. If you have select the Java, it will you will get the code in Java. If you select the NUnit WebDriver, it will give you the C# WebDriver code. And also when it's come to the first time setup, you might need some extra variables to to be implemented. So here, as you can see, the driver variable is not implemented, base URL is not implemented. So I think for the first time you need to export this test case as a file. So I'm going to export this test case as a C# Unit WebDriver. I'm going to save it as demo. Can't remember the location. Desktop demo. Okay. So previously it copied only these commands into the clipboard, but when we export it as a file, it has all the other variables and implementations related to WebDriver, and all the unit testing are implemented in using NUnit. For the moment, NUnit is, unit framework is not. The Visual Studio unit testing is not supported. Okay, let me copy these variables. You can simply to implement to access these classes at this interface, you have to import these namespaces, OpenQA Selenium, and we don't need this one, so I'm going to simply remove them. Okay. So, and this one, tools, so is it blue or black? Okay. Can you guys see now? Okay. So in this case, I am not going to explain about how to use unit testing, but just in the case, these attributes are to mention that this is a test class, and this is the first method that's going to be executed when we execute a test class, and this is the test method. So after after adding those attributes, you can right click and execute these test cases. So let's go through the code line by line. So here we have implement the class, test class, and we are going to define the iWebDriver interface object. This is the driver. This can be so let me go to this. This is an interface. So all the browsers has to implement this iWebDriver interface. If it is a Firefox, they have to implement this interface, and they have to provide the proper implementation for that WebDriver. If it is IE, they need to provide a proper implementation. That's why I told you before. It will so if a new browser enter the market, they have to provide a library that support WebDriver. So for this testing, I'm going to use a Firefox driver. So in initialization method, I'm going to initialize the driver as Firefox one. Depending on your requirement, you can change it to Chrome or IE, whatever. But because of easiness, I'm going to use Firefox one. And also I'm going to initialize the base URL as this. And when it's come to test method, so now we have implemented the initialize the driver in using the Firefox. So we can say driver navigate, go to URL, driver find element. This is the way we are writing the locator. This is the locator class, which is a static one. We just need to provide. We can choose whether we are going to choose a select locator using link test or ID or name or CSS. As I mentioned you before, there are 6 locator types. So you can choose whatever the locator type you are going to use. So for the first one, I am going to use the link test, which is a chapter 1, and I am going to click on that one. And then I am going to find an element which has a radio button, and I am going to click on that one. And then I'm going to select find an element which has the ID select type, and I'm going to change the text to Selenium grid. This is the drop down, this is the radio button, and this is the checkbox which has the name. So using the by name, I'm going to use the by name locator, and using the name I'm going to click on that one. Okay, let's see what will happen when we execute this one. This one. This one. The by name as yeah. So when you use find element, because here it's a find element, but if you make it find elements, so there will be multiple elements. But when it's come to the find element, and if you say find by name, it will choose the first one available. So I'm going to actually you can debug these tests, and also you can because this is a Visual Studio, it's not a Firefox, Selenium ID or something. This is a Visual Studio. You can do a lot of things using this ID. So I'm going to run this test. As you can see, radio button has been selected, and the text been changed to the Selenium grid, and checkbox been selected. And let's see. So this is about recording some actions using Selenium ID and copying it to our code and execute that one. But let's see, will it be practical when it comes to real life? So let me add some extra steps and see whether it's working or not. Sorry. Clicking this one, changing, and I'm going to click on this one, and so this is a Ajax one. So as I demonstrated last time, this is a Ajax load, and but we need to wait until after we click on this link, we need to wait until this text being loaded. So and we need to assert this text. So I'm going to stop this recording, and there are two additional steps. I'm going to copy that one. Still, you can see that only so we have only recorded the load Ajax click, but it hasn't recorded the assertion part. So I'm going to assert this one. Copy. So I assume that you already know about the assertions. So this is not something related to Selenium. This is a Microsoft test tool assertion. So we can use the assertions to verify things are. So we can verify text or verify the. Let me open up the assert class. We can see there are a lot of whether we can verify whether some objects are equal, strings are equal and not equal, or is for or likewise. So there will be a lot of method that you can use when it comes to assertion. Okay, now previous test case has been passed. So yeah, it's been passed. Now I'm going to run this again. Close this one. But this time it's been failed. No such element exception. So they couldn't find this paragraph P element. That's why it's throwing an error. Because after clicking on this load Ajax one, we need to wait until it's loaded. That's why if we try to verify it just after clicking on that one, it will get failed. So we can use a WebDriver wait class. So I'm going to name this as a wait. As an input, we have to provide the driver. So I'm going to driver, and I can tell that to wait. Sorry? So we can put some so here in driver we have two options there. Driver I think it's manage. Timeouts. So we can wait it. At least we can use thread wait, or likewise we can make it wait, and also we can provide timespan, and we can set the implicit wait. Likewise, we can make it wait for a specific time. But it's always better that if we can wait until some element is loaded. So we don't need let's say that we are assigning 10 seconds for the wait, so fixed amount. So it will wait that exact amount of time until it get load. But if we say that, so wait until some element load. So just after loading that one, just after the WebDriver detect that it's been loaded, it will continue. Okay. You can say wait until and also you can specify the result type here. So I'm using a bool. So there are some, as I mentioned you before, in the support library, you have a lot of support classes that can be used. So the WebDriver wait is one of the support library method. That's why you can say that, okay, wait until that element loaded. Then you need to provide copy something because I can't remember the exact class name. Okay, so I'm going to use this expected condition class, and there are a lot of support methods that you can use. So let's say you can say expected condition is element exists or element is visible. So you can't wait until this element exists, or you can wait until this element visible, or you can wait until text to be present in element. You can wait until the given text to be present in element. So likewise you can provide waiting conditions for the WebDriver. So I'm going to use text to be present in element. Okay. So I'm going to use this one. And I'm going to provide this text. Okay. After that also you can we can run the assertion and check that too. So let me add it back and enable this one, uncomment this code. Okay, now we are waiting until a text to be present in this element adjective, and after that one we are again going to assert that value. Okay, let me run this test. Okay, this time it's been fast because previously it wasn't waiting until something to happen, something to be loaded, but this time because we have given specifically mentioned that wait until this text to be present in the element. Because of that, WebDriver is waiting until this text to be present, and after that, if we assert that one, that text will be there. Likewise, so simply just copying some code from Selenium ID not going to be helpful, but still it's be really helpful when it's come to the recording. So rather than writing codes your own, you can record it using Selenium ID and copy and paste it here, and you can modify it yourself, and you can write a WebDriver code using unit test. Go ahead. Yes.
Command names will be the same, were they the same or do they change?
These commands.
Yeah, so management and
Yes, actually, so let me open up the Selenium ID again. Here, when we are exporting, so we are specifically selecting C# NUnit WebDriver. So all the API calls are C# WebDriver API calls. So it will be same. Any questions up to this level?
The only change because because it says in unit and we are using the Minecraft
Unit test.
testing framework. The in unit use the change to the
Visual Studio. Yes. So you mean that Selenium ID, right? Here. Okay. So. Yes.
select text and you can do whatever the name you want. So does it also apply for, let's say there's a read kind of thing where your data set changes from the net. So when you say select text and you will draw whatever the text.
So it's like a so here because of we have some kind of a predefined text, so we can directly use that text, but when it's come to dynamic data, we need to careful about choosing the selector. So we can choose as I mentioned before, we can use XPath or a CSS one. So we need to know everything is HTML, so we can choose any HTML element using CSS or XPath or a name, so those kind of locators. So you have to be careful with what's the locator you are going to use.
So in that case, because it's full dynamic and changes, it's better to go for XPath.
Yes, and also you can't choose but even though those things are dynamic, but when it's come to selecting something, you have to know what's there, right? So let's say you are going to use a suburb, so at least you should have some idea of about first two letters of the suburb, right? So likewise, there will be some data, so depend on that one you can choose whatever the
obviously the same, when you record it, but by the time you run it, it will be entirely changed.
Yes, so like when let's say you are planning you are writing a script, right? Automation script. So you should know what are the steps, right? So you are going to you are going to this page, specific page, and there will be a grid, and you are going to choose one item based on the text, or based on the you are going to, maybe you are going to pick a, yeah, probably index. So there should be some logic based on that one. You can write to, let's say, as Jesus said, if it is an index, you can provide a specific index. If it is a some kind of text, let's say you are specifically looking for some item which has starting with some text or likewise, then in that case you have to choose that specific element with that text. So you have to most suitable thing will be using the XPath and use the content. It's depend on your approach.
You have to have some basis to select some item, right? So it can be based on, say, if the third item is the weight. I don't know. What you want?
Index is not something I can depend.
Then if you are doing it manually, then you have to.
Yeah, so if there are, let's say, it's a grid, and if there are users, there are 3 users of the same thing. But I don't know how which index it's going to come.
Yes, so at least then you can get all the elements, right? What you're going to do. So it's the same thing. Your manual testing into automation. So what you are going to do is go through the list and pick same username with 3 items. So you are going to get all the elements first and search for the specific elements with repetitive 3 elements and pick one of them. So you have to use XPath or some other locator to pick the element and do the same thing.
So that's what we do in what we do currently in one of our grids. There's a search criteria. So using the search criteria, we search for the particular element, and then we do whatever we do or whatever feature we want. Imagine if there's no such feature as a search, then how? I'm just wondering, how will you identify the particular item that you want to?
Yes, so let me open up the independent.
If you are manual testing, how will you locate the specific one you want to do?
Then we do it, so it's the same thing. So if there are 3 items, there will be other data. Like, so let's say if the user has, there are 3 names, and if he has other data which are listed, then we will be.
So you can search for those data using the
but during the time of automation, he might not know that, right? As a human, I would know these, okay, the timestamp is different or something like that. But how? So what from Anuradha, what I gather is it has to always be distinct, right?
Yes.
The same logic you are going to apply manually, so you should be able to
Do it using the automation
step.
step.
The thing is, you have to be very specific things and criteria. You are going to say that manually first of all. It's going to be same name, different types,
So as a human, I would go and I would know, right? But when I'm
Individually, you would know, but you will have to get your questions.
Yes.
Exactly what.
So yeah, it's when it's come, so there's no human, so there's no human interaction. So you have to be very specific about what you are going to do. So you can't. So Selenium doesn't have the AI feature. So you have to be very specific about it. Okay, so I think hopefully you are talking about something. So like I am in the independent property website. So I want to search some properties, and I want to search properties in Belkan. So I'm going to, just after typing a few words, so it will provide autocomplete. So I'm going to choose one. Right? I'm going to select some of these properties and I'm going to search. So I think so if you can do such a thing using Selenium, so as you mentioned, so here it's very complicated selector. It's not a normal drop down. So there will be a lot of actually this is fully div, and it's so it's not the select element. It's full of divs, and it's a very advanced control. So simply if you can so today as a demonstration I'm going to automate this one, selecting something and selecting a few of these checkboxes and do the search. So I think hopefully if you can do the this is also dynamic thing, and so but when it's come to selecting my test criteria, I'm going to specific about suburb. So I'm going to provide whatever suburb. It may be Dixon, it may be Belka. So depending on my input, it is going to select whatever the suburb and do the search. Fair enough. Right. Okay. And one more thing. So it's not easy as recording using the ID. So you have to be very kind of you need to have some kind of creativity and some kind of programming knowledge regarding that one. So let's see how we approach this test script. Okay, this will be your first one. So simple one, going to selecting, clicking, and those kind of things. This one I have been already written. I have same thing. I'm going to automate the independent from A1. The few things I have been recorded using ID as previously, but when it's come to this specific control, so the Selenium ID cannot track it. So I have to be very little bit creative here. I have to use CSS selector and I have to enter the. So let me go through the code. First thing I am going to use Internet Explorer. Actually, let me, because of few issues I am having with this one at the moment, I am going to use Firefox. Okay. So I have defined the WebDriver as Firefox one, and I have defined the URL. So I am telling WebDriver to navigate to given URL, and in this solution I have a resource file. In that file I have a suburb mentioned as Belkan. Sorry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the text box first. So let me open this URL. So first thing, we need to select this text box and we need to enter the whatever the value. Welcome, and just enter, type in that value doesn't going to help. You have to pick this element too. Right? So after clicking that one, it will add this element. Right? First step will be loading the page and click on this element. So I'm going to right click on this one and I'm going to inspect that. So it's a text input which has a placeholder, enter suburb or a region. Right? So in my code, I am selecting an input which has a placeholder, enter suburb or region. Before that one, I have given some other filtration to pick the correct item. So this is an ID selector, and this is a CSS one. Based on the class I am selecting, so this is just for the filtration, and this is the main selection of the element. So which input which has a placeholder, this name. So using that one, I am going to select the text box, and I am going to click on that one, and I am going to type first 3 characters of the suburb. So that's why I am doing the substring, and taking the first 3 substring, first 3 characters, and sending the keys. And after that, I need to select the Belkan element. So let me close this and on the Belkan. So I'm going to type Bell here, and after typing, I have to pick the element which has a Belkan. So I have to choose that choose the option which has a Belkan text and click on that one. Okay, so here I am selecting a div which has a class option and which has the data value Belkan. Right, so let me remove this one. Belkan. I'm going to. It's a little bit hard to inspect this element. So as soon as you right click on that one, it will be added. So it will be a little bit tricky. So I'm going to open up the.
These kinds of cases, it would actually be difficult for a QA person to locate this one with the help
Yes.
of the browser tools, right? You have to know where to look for in the inspect elements yourself.
Yes.
You
So
can't just right click and
yeah, that's I had the same difficulty. That's why I prepared it little bit early, and I have the script already written. Otherwise, I will be struggling here to find this option element, because it's coming and going. So yeah. So anyhow, I had already figured it out, and so using this, it has a div and which has a data value as a Belkan. So I'm going to click on that one. After that, these things are normal selectors using ID. So we are going to click on a few checkboxes and press the submit button. Okay. Okay. Let me run this test script. I'll come that.
can get it from anywhere, right?
Yes.
CSV.
CSV file, but usually we are using the CSV file, but because of the easiness, yes. So it's been selected the Belkan, and selected this house, town, and those kind of checkboxes, and it has done this search. Let me rerun it again, and it's been passed. Yes, entering the data and doing search like this. Okay. It's just in the case you ask that question, so from where I'm getting the data. So usually at Givio, when it's come to the keeping the data, we are using CSV files. So you can so normally what we are doing is we are saving the data in CSV file and reading it using a CSV reader and getting the data. But when it's come to my demonstration, I have used the resource file because just after entering the name, you can access it as access it using so same name as a file, data and suburb. Likewise, you can access it. So it's very easy. That's why I'm using that one, because of I'm lazy. You can use whatever the method you like to keep the data. Okay. Sometimes we need to. So this is about doing some testing in one browser. So there are sometimes we might need to open up several instances. Maybe we need to open up 2 browsers and do one thing. Let's say we do have an admin interface and a public interface. We might need to do some change in admin interface and verify it in public interface. So it's real difficult to do something in admin, enter the password and username, log into the admin and make some changes, and going back to the public and test it, and going back. Likewise, it will be real difficult. But rather than, we can open up 2 browser windows and browser windows using 2 WebDriver instances. So one WebDriver instance is running one set of, let's say, admin side, and another WebDriver is running the public side. So we can make some changes in admin side and validate it in public side. So here actually this is not an admin side one, so I have write a script to comment on some article in gossip site and make a comment and verify it. I'm not so sure about whether I have to run it or not. So yes, so you can so here you can add whatever the comment. So I had a Hapoy and whatever the email, and you can include the email. So what is happening here? This is the article. This is the home page. So I am entering the comment at in article page and validating it from the home page. So I have written this way back, but hopefully, if the site is they haven't, if they have to change the site, it should work still. Username, something ABC. Is that okay if I run this like that? Okay, let me. Yes, let me check the, it's I have picked something, so this is about the Mervyn Silla, so it should be fine. So yeah, it's only me who have commented. Yes. Okay, I'm going to close this and let's see how it goes. Yes, it's been, I think this has been executed. It's still running. Yes, it's been passed. So here As you can see, I have entered the comment again halfway again, and from here, so I think it's displaying yes, latest comment. So yeah, I'm validating whether that comment is displaying on the home page. So I have opened up two browser windows. First, I'm going to the article and entering the comment, and from the second browser window, I'm validating whether that comment has been updated or not.
You should have used two different browsers as well, right? IE driver with the Firefox.
Yes. So up to yesterday, my IE1 perfectly working, IE driver, but after yesterday update, I think something happened to Windows. So it was working actually, but it's really slow. So you can't use it for demonstration purpose. So it's like it takes another half an hour to do a demonstration. So, yeah, simple as creating another driver. So one WebDriver represents one browser. So and also you can open up new windows using driver. But so here, because of we have to send two different commands, as I mentioned before. So we might need to make some changes in the admin side, and we might need to verify it in the public side. So it's not really otherwise if you have one browser, it won't be practical. Okay, I close it. Yes. Let me open it up. I just close it. Yes. So when it's come to assertion, I am finding whether that it has a suburb. So let's say welcome, and I'm going to pick something and do the search. Here it should has a I am looking for a text welcome. Maybe I am looking for here. I can't remember exact location. Maybe in the grid or in the here. Most probably it should be here. So after loading the page, I am looking for the suburb name.
There are methods to get the count of matching elements rather than find element. Does the find element return a correction? There are multiple elements.
Find elements, so you can get all the elements. So
if we need to verify there is at least one search result, we can
yes, yes.
find
element.
Count
Yes. And also yes, so definitely we can use XPath and get the multiple element count. Okay, so because of today also I'm like in bed, so let me quickly go to the presentation. Okay. So then it's come to the most important part. So really sorry about keeping you for the 10 minutes or something. Okay, so when it's come to Selenium, so they have they have came up with a good design pattern. So they have recommended to use that as a best practice also. So they call it page object pattern. So simply when it comes to actually when we are doing automation, so when we are doing a manual automation also, the page HTML page represent something. So based on the page, so maybe after we click on the link, it will redirect to another page. So let's say we are at a login page and we are entering the username and password. After entering the data, and after pressing on the login button, we will be redirected to the home page. So when it comes to the Selenium, so always we need to represent them as pages. So we need to have one class for the login page. So let's say we have the login page. From the login page, we can specify whatever the required element in the login page, and after doing some action. So let's say we are going to do the login action. So entering the username and password, click on the login button. So that should return another page. So because in real life also, after we click on the button, it's going to redirect us to another page, right? It's a home page. Likewise, so we need to organize our test cases as a set of pages, and also there might be some kind of common controls like menu. So those things also we can consider as separate objects, because it's a common thing. So every time when we need to access, let's say from the menu item, we need to navigate to report section. So likewise, so in that case we can tell menu to we can ask menu object to click on do some action, select a menu, and it should return the object page object. So because when we click on a menu, definitely we will get redirected to another page, right? So likewise, always we need to after we do action, if we are getting redirect to some new page, we need to return page object. Okay, so this is the simplest simple class representation of the page object. So we have a login page, right? So when we do the login action, so we are passing username and password. So we are doing whatever the actions here, and it's returning a home page. Simple as it is. They have came up with this design pattern because of several reasons. So this reduces the amount of duplicated code, because so each and every time we are navigating to the home page, we don't need to rewrite all the code. So we can simply use the home page object, and we can use it. So always the home page object represents all the elements available in home page. Right? Is it clear? So it's just a representation of whatever the action we do. So simplest thing will be like here. So in the login page, when we do the login action, we are navigating to the home page, right? In login page, we can access the username, password, text boxes, and button. So here we can access them and do whatever the actions, and it will return a home page. In home page, it will contain whatever the controls are available in the home page. Okay, and also the page object, as I mentioned, page object doesn't supposed to do any assertions. Actually, so we are just asking the page objects to do actions. So we are not doing the assertions. So after page object do action, depend on that action we can do the assertion. Let's say here we are clicking on the from a login page, we are entering the username and password, we are navigating to the home page, right? So in home page we shouldn't do any assertions. So actually in home page there might be the username displayed as a link or something. So inside that we shouldn't do the assertions, but after we get the home page, right, we can get that element and we can do the assertion. am I making things complicated? So simply all the assertions should be in your code rather than page objects. So, yes, so definitely, you know, that should be the way, right? So when you are implementing the action should be actions. It's not the assertion. So assertion should be in the your test code.
So like, so you are in one page of one class, every page, the pages are like per class, that's how.
Yes.
So all the functionalities regarding that particular page, so you'll be writing it as test methods in your, is that how you write your functionality wise?
It's like so here so when it comes to the Selenium, we are writing, you know, so according to the page object one, we are writing the based on the pages, and also inside the pages we can divide it based on the functionalities.
So if you want to have like a test scenario with a couple of test methods, so like you can call the methods of other classes in between.
Yes, because you know, so likewise, you know, as I said, so maybe in each and every page we might have the menu. So menu is a separate page object, so we can ask a menu to do some action, and likewise, you know, we inside the page we have another page object. So in that object, you know, we can ask it to do another functionality.
Is that the only way to have like scenarios?
No, we can, you know, so here when it comes to the previous code, right? So it just you know, we don't have any design patterns here, right? We just write our code. We are just providing the actions. We are just asking code to do some action, and it will do that one. But this is a best practice, and this is a design pattern. So nothing much you.
Yes, because
So,
how do you do here like it's now in where you have some audit tests, we put the tests together and create a scenario.
Okay.
Test methods together.
So here when it's come to the unit testing, so you can't create a test suite. So that's a disadvantage in unit testing. But when it comes to the end unit, you can create a test suite, and you can insert the test cases to that one, and you can run it in ordered way. But when it's come to the ordered UI also, what we are using is unit testing. So what we have done is, so we have defined a set of methods, and inside the one test test method, we are calling them in sequence. So whatever the way, it's fine. Okay. Moving forward, to support this page object design pattern in Selenium support classes, they have provided a page factory. It's one of the, you know, it's make the same thing. It's make the life easier. So let's see. Here's a Google search page, right? So it's like the Google home page. So using some attributes predefined, so we can find the, we can say we define the element here, web element, search box in Google. This is the search box, and we can say find element using, using the name selector locator. This is the name. So saying like same way in IDE, we are saying that name equal whatever the name, and using that one it can find the element. So we don't need to write codes to find the element. We can just specify using a attribute here. That's one of the advantage in factory method, page factory. And we can define the define the action here. So what we need to do is search for a text. So here we have mentioned the whatever the text box here, and here we are telling search for this text. So when we enter, when we pass a text to this Google search page object, so what it do is, so it taking the search box and send in the keys and press a submit, just press enter. Likewise, we don't need to worry about finding elements. We just need to, so like in real life, in a page, so when it's come to Google home page, we have a search box, right? That's it. We have search box, and that's why we have mentioned the search box here. And then what we need to do is, the functionality is searching for a text. So what we are doing is entering the data, entering whatever the text into that text box, and enter submit. That's the action. And here, this is our class. So what we are doing, we are defining the WebDriver, and we are navigating to a page, and from the page, then we need to initialize this object. We need to create an instance using the page factory. So we are just telling the page factory to initialize the element, and we are passing the driver and the type of the class. That's it. Then it will be initialize these text boxes, and just after that we can do the search. So we don't need to worry about writing find element like that. So we don't need to worry about those things. So it makes the life easier. Is it clear? Okay. Because of the time limitation, I'm going to stop this one. But I have prepared a sample class. This is for the automating our IPG website. So here I have defined a base class, the base page, which has the drivers and menu controls and everything. And here I have the home page. This is the login page. So everything is in. I haven't searched for the elements. So this is all about the specifying the elements and about the actions. Likewise, so I am following the page object design pattern. And here I have a separate section for the menu. So that's also another control. It just has a select element, those kind of actions only. So let me quickly run this test and finish off the presentation. Morpheus is down. Okay. Yes.
It's going to be like same pattern stuff and a lot of programming things involved here. So it's going to be like
the first thing is so when it's come to the current solution structures. So I know I'm not sure about other things, but when it's come to the IPG the test project, so it's not been well structured. It's a kind of it has a basic thing, it doesn't have any design patterns, so just passing a command and making the things work. But I think even though we are following a coded UI or even though it's a Selenium, I think it's better to follow this page object design pattern. That's one thing. So it's better, so whatever the technology, we don't worry about technology, just the design pattern. So I think it will give some advantage, and it will make the process very clear. And other thing is when it's come to the converting coded UI to Selenium, definitely we need to do the re-recording. Yeah, that's a little bit hassle. So we need to take that risk and move forward easily. Any questions?